everybody, welcome back to the Bumpkin News. This is part 2 of evolution. The previous vlog on evolution seemed to generate quite a bit of interest, and so we wanted to continue. We have some questions. The first question is, are all organisms alive on the planet today the product of evolution? If not, do we know of any organisms that exist as they did originally? Another question is, did evolution take place without any knowledge whatsoever being a factor? Was it dependent upon any knowledge? Or was any knowledge involved? Not being an expert on evolution or the explanation of evolution as I understand it, the theory of evolution, maybe somebody can enlighten us on that. Let's assume for the time being that no knowledge was involved in evolution. Go back to the plant. The plant can respond to stimuli without intelligence or without knowledge. As an example, you take a plant, you subject it to a lack of water, it responds to that stimuli by shriveling up and dying. You introduce a plant to an environment that is conducive to its growth, and it responds to that stimuli by flourishing. Now, if no knowledge whatsoever was involved in evolution, we'll say in this instance of a plant, then we'll take the example of the Venus flytrap. The Venus flytrap, of course, is poised to trap and digest a fly or an insect. How did the plant evolve to that state without knowing anything, which we don't believe that plants do know anything, but we don't believe they have intelligence. And obviously, in the structure of the plant, of the Venus flytrap, it does have a design. Just the mechanism to close and entrap an insect shows a design. But the design was not by knowledge, it was by an evolutionary process. I never encountered an explanation that satisfies me as to how something like this could happen. And as we noted in the previous video, the seed pod that had a means to be transported to another location, which again met the principles of an engineered transport system. And again, as the birds, they of course they have no knowledge of aerodynamics, and if we suppose that there was no knowledge involved, and when we say that, we mean if you take the explanation of the theory of evolution, there was no knowledge externally involved in the evolution of the bird, but the ability for the bird to fly is in accord perfectly, we might say exquisitely, with the principles of aerodynamics. So we're curious if there is an explanation. We're not by any means a scientist, and we're not an expert on the theory of evolution, but we do understand a little bit that there is mutation, there is genetic drift, there is natural selection, and we believe that those things occur in nature. Someone said one time that if you took, say, 1,000 monkeys and gave them an infinite amount of time, an infinite amount of paper and typewriter, and of course in this era it would be word processing, given that infinite resources, that they would type every major novel perfect with punctuation, grammar, spelling, just like the original. But when you look at an organism, like say a human being, it is so incredibly complex. And then when you look around and see all the other organisms and their incredible complexity, it's beyond mathematical computation to calculate the odds that all those things could happen by mutation, by genetic drift, or by natural selection. So if there were no external knowledge involved in evolution, then we are curious to understand what the response is from the theory of evolution on how these organisms were able to adapt themselves so precisely to the natural laws.